So how to get out of your comfort zone as a yoga teacher. All right. This is a sensitive topic. It's a huge topic for a lot of people in their life in terms of getting out of their comfort zone. Um, I've said previously, doing the things in life that you feel comfortable. Actually, how do I say this? Doing the things in life that make you feel comfortable can slowly kill you. Doing the things that make you feel uncomfortable can keep you alive. Tim Ferriss, he said that the joy that we experience is often directly tied to the amount of uncomfortable conversations that we had in life. So, when it comes to you getting out of your comfort zone, let me start with a story. Because if there's anyone that knows about staying in their comfort zone, I promise it's me. I am what they call an extroverted introvert. I can get along with people as I go out, but I was an only child. I spent a lot of time alone. And so going through high school, just even going through elementary school, going through middle school, people said I was shy. I think it's just a way of saying, like, because I think I had anxiety from a very early age. I was in a military family. We moved all around, and I constantly almost felt like I had to reinvent myself. And because we were constantly moving around and I didn't have a lot of friends because we weren't in a location long enough for that, I felt like I was always trying to kind of cater to other people. I was trying to win their approval so that I didn't have to be alone. And after a while, like the anxiety began to take over. In college, I really had full-blown social anxiety. I would be driving to the grocery store and I'd be 15 minutes away and I'd already be thinking what I was going to say to the cashier. So as you can imagine, my comfort zone was very, very close. But what I finally realized as life went on is that by seeking that comfort, I wasn't growing as a person, or I was, greatly diminishing my growth because there were things that I was not willing to do. And in a lot of ways, I was a runner and a quitter. Things got tough. If you're experiencing social anxiety and you don't feel comfortable with who you are, and things get tough for you, if you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable, it's like a pressure cooker. And I often would quit or run because I wanted that temporary happiness. And like I said, I stalled my growth. If you are going to grow your yoga teaching business, you're going to have to do things that scare you. You're going to have to do things that are outside your comfort zone. And quite frankly, you're going to have to do some things sometimes that scare the shit out of you. Part of that is actually promoting your offerings, putting yourself out there to the world, sharing your story. I've met so many teachers throughout the years of being a yoga marketing and business coach that they were so passionate about growing their tribe, and they wanted to grow their business, and they wanted to become more financially sustainable and thriving and offer true transformation for their students. But the moment that it came to actually be vulnerable and share their story with their students, they retracted. Seeking comfort can slowly kill us. Doing the things that make us feel uncomfortable can keep us alive. So how do we get to come to peace with when we're coming up, or that fear that comes up when we're doing things where we're really going into the unknown? I mean, we teach at Grow Yoga Biz a very, very different business model than what's out there. As you know, most of the yoga marketing coaches and business coaches are teaching you how to pack out your classes and pack out your retreats and pack out your workshops. Well, I hate to break it to most people, but I've been doing this too long to not share with you the truth that it is still very, very, very difficult if you pack out all your classes and even pack out, 1 or 2 retreats a year. It's still very difficult to create a sustainable and thriving income. And in addition to that, even if you do, you feel pulled in all these different directions because you have all these different offerings. I want you to have one niche, one perfect client, and one signature program. And if you haven't watched our webinar yet, watch that immediately. What I'm showing you is how the yoga teacher business model and the yoga studio business model as it is right now does not work. It doesn't. You got yoga studios paying out still $19.98 prices. You have yoga studios that are struggling, that are going on Groupon. They're trying to offer, 5 class passes, all these different things to get students in, but they're not committing. And most yoga studios are struggling like crazy. So if you want to know a different business model, again, watch our webinar. Okay, let's move on. I've done the promotion part. Let's move on. I talked about being a runner and a quitter. I talked about doing really just seeking comfort most of my life. How did that change? Well, in 2008, I lost everything. I used to own a mortgage company. I lost that. I lost my house. I lost my car. Soon after that, I lost my girlfriend. And so I really was like, okay, what am I going to do? My whole confidence had been crushed. I mean, in a lot of ways, I wanted to take my life. I'm surprised I didn't, to be honest with you. Because all these things that I had built up, this kind of, being wealthy and living in a nice neighborhood, all that was taken away from me. Playing golf every day, having people wonder what the heck this 27-year-old kid was doing. But I had to go through all that to learn who I was. And at the height of that suffering, I found something called the Sedona method. And the Sedona method is something that you might think this is sacrilegious for me to say, but it is the fastest technique. It's the fastest process that I've ever come across that brings me into the present moment, even faster than meditation and the asanas and pranayama. Sedona method is founded on the principle that we have to feel what's here now so that we can go beyond it. Often when we feel an uncomfortable situation appear in our life, we don't want to feel it. We don't necessarily want to deal with it. And we pick up our phone, or we watch TV, or we do anything to get our, anything to get our attention off of that subject. I mean, that can even come up sometimes when you're doing yoga. Let's say you're doing yin yoga and you're holding a pose for 5 minutes. Our teacher would not allow us to keep our water bottle by our mat because they knew that was a way for us to get away from that moment of uncomfortableness. And so I'll tell you, please stay with me, because this is a very, very interesting story. And I promise you that this is a technique that has changed many, many, many people's lives. In fact, the teacher of the Sedona method, his name was Lester Levinson. He created the Sedona method back, I think, in the 1940s or 1950s. He was a very respected and successful engineer on many different fronts, like 8 different fields of engineering. Yet he was incredibly unhappy. Had so many health problems in addition to just, being stressed out and depressed. He was actually at one point for 3 years, he was attending he was a patient of a psychiatrist who was a student of Freud's. And after 3 years of working with that psychiatrist, the guy was like, dude, I can't help you. I mean, I'm sure I'm paraphrasing, but from the way that I gathered, the guy was just like, I can't help you anymore. It was just, I can't help you. Meanwhile, he had a couple heart attacks. He had ulcers that were perforating his stomach. He was in bad shape. In fact, he went to the doctors and they said, you have 2 weeks to live. And they were like, go home and put your affairs in order. Well, he went back to his home, and he had a home that was overlooking Central Park. Again, very successful individual.